Hey everyone, thanks for joining me and Odin today. Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp just dropped a new interview on their podcast, Weaponized. So I wanted to bring you a little update. Their guest is none other than Mr. James Lacatski. Now, who is Jim Lacatski, you might ask? Let's go over to our little friend, ChatGPT, and see what they come up with. Early life and education. There's no officially confirmed public record of Dr. Lacatski. Not his birthplace or early life. He's like a ghost on the internet. Can't find anything out about him. However, several secondary sources and research blogs list his full name as James Thomas Lacatski and give a plausible birth date of January 9th, 1951. A Capricorn by my own heart. Though this is not verified by any government record, he is confirmed to hold a doctorate of engineering along with bachelor's and master's degrees in nuclear engineering, specializing in fusion plasma physics and directed energy systems. In the mid-1980s, Dr. Lacatski authored several peer-reviewed studies on compact torsatron fusion reactors, including titles like Plasma Engineering Analysis of a Small Torsatron Reactor, Assessment of a Compact Torsatron Reactor. Boy, this guy really likes torsatron reactors. These publications are associated with Oak Ridge National Laboratory and show his early involvement in advanced energy and plasma engineering. This clearly caught the attention of the DIA, I would assume. In '86 or around, research compilations suggest he also worked for Duke Power Company in its nuclear design section, focusing on reactor core modeling and plant support. Interesting. By the 1990s and 2000s, Dr. Lacatski had joined the Defense Intelligence Agency. Within the DIA, he worked in the Defense Warning Office, often abbreviated to DWO, where he focused on advanced aerospace threats, propulsion concepts, and defense intelligence collection. His title during this era was typically Program Manager or Senior Intelligence Analyst, and he's described in congressional records as a veteran intelligence analyst and rocket expert. In '07, Jim visited Skinwalker Ranch, a privately owned property in Utah that was being studied by aerospace entrepreneur Robert Bigelow, whom we covered in my 2017 New York Times article. Go back and check that out, definitely. This visit reportedly inspired his proposal for a government-funded research program to study unexplained aerospace phenomena. By '08, as program manager within the DIA Defense Warning Office, he initiated and oversaw the Advanced Aerospace Weapons System Application Program, also known as AAWSAP. The DIA awarded a $22 million contract to Bigelow Aerospace Advanced Space Studies to carry out research under that program. The scope included exotic propulsion concepts, materials analysis, and the collection of UAP-related data. Dr. Lacatski served as program manager, contracting officer's representative, security coordinator, and counterintelligence for AAWSAP. In '09, Senator Harry Reid attempted to elevate the program to Special Access Program status, but the request was declined. The DIA eventually concluded AAWSAP around 2010, though deliverables and reporting continued briefly afterward. After AAWSAP was shut down, some personnel continued using the informal name ATIP, Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program. The Department of Defense later clarified that AAWSAP was the only formally established program, while ATIP was mainly a nickname used informally within certain offices. Despite this, ATIP became the public-facing label that first appeared in the 2017 New York Times article exposing the Pentagon's secret UFO programs. Now, this is where he becomes much more present in today's recent history. Before this, he was pretty much a ghost. People had heard his name, but never really could track him down. In 2021, Dr. Lacatski co-authored a book, Skinwalkers at the Pentagon, alongside Colm Kelleher and the legendary George Knapp. The book presents his first-hand account of AAWSAP's research, claiming it studied not only UAPs, but also strange phenomena reported at Skinwalker Ranch. In 2023, he co-authored a follow-up volume titled Inside the U.S. Government Covert UFO Program, Initial Revelations, expanding on the classified materials and alleged program results. Public appearances and interviews since then describe him as retired from government, still maintaining a measured, analytical demeanor and refraining from public testimony before Congress for what he calls security-related reasons. Now, he does expand on that part in his interview on Weaponized today. He is ready to go before Congress and testify. He's very limited on what he can say because of the way the system operates and how they have these individuals completely locked down with their NDAs, and they just can't say anything without fear of repercussion. It could be prison, loss of pension, etc. So it is very interesting that he has put himself out there recently by making these books. He's been going through the DOPSR process, which we'll get into later, and having this information reviewed, and it's being released. Now, it's my theory that this is all part of some sort of controlled disclosure. By who? I don't know. Who are the gatekeepers? I don't know. But what we seem to have, especially since that 2017 timeline, are a whole bunch of deep-rooted, credible individuals starting to trickle out, starting to provide information, and somehow we have elements of the government who are allowing that information to come out. So I think he's on his third book now, and that's kind of what he's talking about. And as far as I understand, I haven't read the books, but as far as I understand from reporting by people who have, it seems like each book has been able to release a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. What he does make really clear in this interview is that he is being prevented from releasing even more information. But he's got another book planned. And look, he talks about not making very much money off the book. So all you naysayers who talk about that's what his primary motivation is, just making a book, get out of here. That's not what it's about. You don't make money off of books, okay? So get over it. Odin just reminded me, make sure and hit that like button below and subscribe so you can get updates right when they come out. And post a comment in the chat. I definitely want to hear how you feel about this topic and this episode in particular. Thank you so much. It really helps us get the message out about our crazy reality. Okay, now back to things. Speaking of down below, I do have all the videos in the description. I have the 2023 interview. I have the story that George Knapp just featured on his local Nevada news station that he still works for and reports for. We'll get into some of that footage as well. And then I do have the interview from today's podcast episode from Weaponized. So definitely check it all out. In my opinion, I think you should watch them all. There's so much information in there. It's just wild. Okay, so what are we going to cover today? Today, I want to fill you in more about Jim Lacatski. We kind of heard a little bit about his history. That's really all that's known. One of the big bombshells that stemmed from him was an interview on Weaponized back almost just about exactly 2 years ago in October of 2023. This is where he really let out some huge news. And this comes directly from his book. So this is what's so mind-boggling, is that this information is actually in his book that he's been allowed to release. It's out there in the ether. We just have to get folks to consume it and realize this is our reality. So let's take a look at that 2023 interview and let it blow your minds.
There are very many variants of triangles. It's like, how can this be? I mean, it's like, certainly we're doing things exactly the opposite in the auto industry. Every SUV looks like every other SUV. You have to look at the name badge in order to tell what brand is that. I like it or I dislike it, but right now I like them all mainly because they all look alike. In UFOs, totally the opposite.
There's one particular UFO design that gets discussed in the book that you reveal, and if you blink, you'll miss it. But it's maybe the most controversial and important piece of information that this book conveys. You say something at the beginning of chapter 9 about a craft of unknown origin that our government finally accessed the inside. Can you share with us what's in the book, and is there anything else you can add to that?
Well, what's in the book is an exact statement of the event that occurred let's say in a congressional facility. There was more to it, considerably more to that discussion about what this situation was. We can't go into that because and when I mean Colin and I, yes, we know about it. People are interested in it, I'm quite sure, but security has to trump everything else. A lot of things can be said. This book, as was Skinwalkers at the Pentagon, I keep flashing book, basically was reviewed by the Department of Defense for release and approved the wording that's in it, the wording.
Okay, I thought that it would be important to go back and clear this point up a little bit. When he references the book being reviewed by the Department of Defense for release, he's talking about the DOPSR. You'll hear this acronym referenced by a lot of different military people, especially in the intelligence community, because when they are trying to get a book published, an article, whether they're trying to just say anything publicly, it has to go through this process in order for them to have approval to talk about anything. It's the process by which the Department of Defense reviews publications before they are publicly released is called pre-publication review, or the Security and Policy Review process. This process is managed by the Defense Office of Pre-Publication and Security Review. The primary purpose of this mandatory review is to ensure that the material intended for public release does not contain any classified, controlled unclassified, or export-controlled information that could harm national security or violate established policies.
And so you're getting as much as we can say. Jeremy,
okay, well, hold on. So for our audience that's listening, George just dropped an atom bomb because it was dropped in the book. So audience is just listening. I'm going to read you something. Beginning of chapter 9. At the conclusion of a 2011 meeting in the Capitol building with a U.S. senator and an agency undersecretary, Lacatski, the only one of the book's authors present, posed a question. But this is where it gets good. He stated, meaning you, Dr. Lacatski, that the United States was in possession of a craft of unknown origin and had successfully gained access to its interior. This craft had a streamlined configuration suitable for aerodynamic flight, but no intakes, exhaust, wings, or control surfaces. In fact, it appeared not to have an engine, fuel tanks, or fuel. Now, there's a next part, which I'll read in a minute, but what this is you're officially allowed to tell us that the United States government has in its possession a craft of unknown origin, and you were able to access the inside. Is that correct?
The wording that you read is correct. You're going beyond the wording.
No, I'm not. I'm asking you, did that meeting happen? And is it true? And it's true.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so you're telling us, you told us, because you were allowed to tell us, that our government has a UFO in its possession and has been able to access the inside of it, right?
Yes.
Let's try another tack. How do we know it's a craft and not a doorstop? We accessed it. It has no engine. It has no wings. No fuel. It doesn't. We don't know that it travels. Do we know it's a craft, or it's just a rock?
George, you're going into the further discussion that occurred that day.
All right.
We can't go there. But let me tell you, we're going to try to cover that in the future. But it's delicate. It makes the technology described in here look primitive.
I mean, the fact that this came out in 2023 and just is not all over NBC, CBS, Fox News is just mind-boggling to me. Quote, Jeremy, you told us because you were allowed to tell us that our government has a UFO in its possession and has been able to access the inside of it, right? Lacatski, yes. I mean, it's right there, folks. Okay, the next clip that we're going to check out is from George Knapp's News 8 Now little segment that he put on just the other day. And Lacatski says, we can be pretty well sure we're not dealing with humans. Let's take a look at a couple of these clips about George Lacatski.
And it's not our belief or conjecture or the opinion of the authors. It's facts from the program. These are from official sources, from what the public has paid for.
Dr. James Lacatski spent most of his career with the DIA analyzing the technology of America's adversaries, weapons that could potentially wipe out the world. He was and is a keeper of secrets and regarded his oath and security clearance as gospel. But these days, he is cautiously and meticulously sharing what he can about AAWSAP, the largest acknowledged UFO investigation ever funded by the U.S. government.
You know, we wanted to learn what can be weaponized here, and that basically that was our job at DIA.
Can we say they're not human?
I don't think you can. We can be pretty well sure we're not dealing with humans.
How do you know it's a craft if it has no fuel tank? You didn't actually see it fly, or I mean, are you convinced it is some sort of a craft, a machine?
Yes.
Are you convinced that it's a craft, some sort of machine? Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, this guy has been inside of a UFO. He's dying to let us know all the details. We need to pressure our government to allow this information to be released. So that's one thing. Now, I do believe still that this is a part of the controlled disclosure process. So I don't know if we're really going to get that far, but one thing I know that I want to do is spread this information to as many people as I can. Just try to get it out there, try to help them see these amazing nuggets that are out there. And Lacatski is just one person. There are so many other individuals who have come forward. Military veterans, Hal Puthoff, all these people who are deep behind in the shadows. They're coming out of the woodwork. This information is coming out, people. Seriously. Now, there are powers in the shadows, the gatekeepers, who are trying to stop this information from coming out for whatever reason. And that's what Lacatski touches on in his interview today. And that was pretty much the primary focus. Now, I don't think that we had any huge nuggets of information specifically about like UAP or the program or anything. He really talked a lot about how he's just not able to say very much, and he corrected a lot of the record. It's very, very detail oriented. I highly recommend checking out the full video just so you could kind of grasp a larger concept of what is going on here. One of the quotes that he said, though, we're all being played like a fiddle. So there are definitely gatekeepers behind the scenes trying to stop this information from coming out. But just like in everything in life, there's a polarity. I believe that there are genuine and authentic people who are trying to get this information out, and I believe more and more and more will keep on coming out. So let's just take a quick listen to what he had to say on today's interview, and they definitely left some cliffhangers at the end for next week, which I will also include some of those little nuggets. Let's check it out.
Remember, this is important, and it's near the conclusion right here. Only believe AAWSAP and Kona Blue information directly read by you in the 4 books. This is to the public. Or if you hear directly statements from myself or Colin Kelleher. Something serious is going on. In my opinion, you all are in the middle of what I can only describe as a major and repetitive counterintelligence operation by unknown multiple operators or organizations and for unknown reasons. Big question. What is so important about AAWSAP or Kona Blue? Now, I use the past tense. For Kona Blue, I shouldn't be using the past tense. What is so important? I don't know. The public needs to answer that. In my opinion, we're all being played like a fiddle, mainly me because I was slow to recognize it. So ask away. Remember, again, I'm limited to what's been approved.
Yes.
But each time you're going to get more and more because I'm for disclosure, but I'm not uncontrolled. I want the public to be steered properly, not in for any bad reasons, but people are not learning what they need to know because they're getting bogged down.
It's very clear to me, and tell me if I'm wrong, that you believe AARO to be more of a counterintelligence program than anything else, right?
They're participating. And by the way, if you're looking at such a craft, what are you primarily interested in? The craft? The fact that it's empty? Or what in the world is the power supply and the motive force? What in the world is that? That kind of answers your question. What would you...
Was the craft landed, crashed, or gifted to us?
Doesn't have to be a fast craft, but a levitating airliner? Think about the where it could go everywhere in the world. It wouldn't need an airport.
But don't you think we've already achieved that? Like, we hear about all these people on military bases seeing triangles, and you're doing this study, AAWSAP, to try to figure out the physics of how to do that. Do you think it's already been achieved by the US government, or it hasn't, and that's why AAWSAP had a lot of value?
It hasn't been achieved to its full extent.
Thank you for spending this time with me today. If you've enjoyed the content, please subscribe, hit that like button, leave a comment, share on your social media. It's quick and it's free, and it really helps the algorithm for the channel, as well as spread the word about our crazy reality. And make sure to check out my other videos if you haven't already, so you can catch up and be better informed. Thank you again. Sending good vibes to you all. Enjoy the journey.